Recording.
All right, thank you. In front of you, you have today's agenda. Do I have any additions or corrections, or can I get a motion to approve today's agenda?
Second.
It's unanimous. Thank you. And then we have the minutes from our regular meeting held on May 7th, 2024. Do I have any additions or corrections?
I have an addition, if we could, under the Waveney House construction update, in the last sentence where it reads, after significant discussion, it was recommended that a timeline be produced. I think it was requested that a timeline be produced in order to ensure the project moved forwards to meet the Q1 2025 target. And I think we actually asked that we would get the update on the timeline at this meeting. And it was also requested that we have a summary of estimated all-in costs. So if we can, I think we should flush that out a little more, because I think it's really important to move this project forward.
So I don't think we'll have an estimate in all-in costs of Waveney House, because we're still waiting for the Hoffman.
I just meant related to the elevator,
Oh, okay.
just related to that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sorry, too many Waveney projects.
Yeah.
So.
I think maybe just change from after significant discussion, it was requested that a timeline be produced
Trying to find it.
and presented to the Board of Selectmen at the next meeting to show that the project can move forward and meet the, I think it's Q1 2025
Yeah.
date, right?
Yeah.
Because that's the whole thing. We have people renting it and stuff.
Yep.
And I remember we talked about that. so
Yeah.
that's-
And if possible, an all-in cost for the elevator project.
Okay. You got that? Everybody got that? Okay. Anything else?
That's it.
The one other thing, and maybe this doesn't need to go in, but under the Locust Avenue Lumberyard parking lot overlay, I think it might make sense to say that it was noted that the overlay for these two lots would provide at least a 5 years of use as the town with the Affordable Housing Commission evaluates locations for potential future projects. Because that was one of the reasons we're doing this, not
Yep.
the
Yep.
whole build out of the lots.
So I would not add a years in there, only
Okay.
because that's not the, it's a longer life
Okay.
than 5 years. So like, why don't, we can just say, it was noted that a full mill and pave was not recommended because there may be alternate uses. I wouldn't even go into what that
That's fine.
is.
That's fine. But
I
I
would
think
just
we
say-
should know why
Yep.
we're doing this.
Yep. So maybe just say, this technique was selected because there may be alternate uses for
At
these
two
lots.
Okay, that'd be great.
Okay,
Thank you.
awesome. Okay, anything else? All right, if I could get a motion to approve the the minutes as amended,
So move.
Second.
it's unanimous. Okay, moving on to public comments. Members of the public are welcome to provide comments to the Board of Selectmen on agenda topics scheduled for review and or vote. Comments submitted electronically should be sent to the following email address: bosdistribution@newcanaanct.gov. Do I have anyone wishing to make any comments?
No one on Zoom.
Okay, seeing none, we'll move on to introduction of interns.
Wow. I didn't even look up.
So why don't I start off? These are the interns from the high school that are going to be with us for 3 weeks.
Can you
come to the- can you come
to the?
Hi, Joe.
These are the interns that are going to be with us for the next 3 weeks.
That-
We are dividing them.
That
among-
mic's not on. Sorry.
One more time.
Let's start again. Don't follow me. These are the interns that are going to be with us for the next 3 weeks. We've divided them amongst a couple different departments. So we thought it would be great to have them introduce themselves to you, let them know what school they're going to, and then we're going to have the meeting and send them off to work with their department heads.
And
So-
tell us what department they're in.
Exactly. So why don't we start with you?
Hello, my name is Cooper Colthup. I We'll be working with the Department of Public Works.
And where are you going to school?
I'm going to Clemson in the fall for mechanical engineering.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good morning. I'm Adrian McMahon. I'm working with the health department here, and I will be majoring in public health at Johns Hopkins University.
Hi, my name is Quentin Pearl. I'll be working in the finance department and I'm going to major in finance at Boston College.
Hi, my name is Kaylin Downey. I'm working with the Public Works Department. I'll be majoring in electrical and computer engineering at Northeastern University.
Good morning. My name is Lucas Alvarez. I'll be with the Parks and Rec Department and Mr. Howe, and I'll be figuring out what I want to do at Trinity College next year.
Hello, my name is Sabil Sheikh. I'll be working with the finance department and I plan on doing a marketing major in Rutgers, New Brunswick.
Hello, my name is Gian Karimnajad. I'll be with the Public Relations Department, and I'm taking a gap year next year.
I'm Nate Codd. I'm going to be with the fire department. I'm going to be at Colby College in the fall.
The shirt's a dead
I
giveaway.
was gonna say, I'm like, I know where you're working.
Mike, you want to have your intern?
You got one more over here that's not with town.
Hi, my name is Zoe Lenoff. I'm interning with Mr. Dinan at the New Canaanite, and I'm going to George Washington University next year for international affairs.
Got a tough boss.
Oh, great. Well, welcome, everyone. We're very excited to have you all here and, I look forward to getting to know you over the next, couple weeks.
You guys all go to the prom? How was it? Good, good.
How was post-prom?
Oh, what was the theme? Was there a theme at Waveney?
A couple, I think.
I'm sorry?
There were a couple.
Oh, there were a couple themes. Okay. All right, I'll have to hear about that later. Okay, moving on to police equipment.
Good morning. I'm John DeFederico. I'm with the police department. I think I'm going to take a gap year next year too.
Well, save your salary if you do.
Fair enough. Here today for approval of increase of previous approved purchase orders for 3 items. First is for Angel Armor, which is our ballistic vests and trauma plates for $1,650. Second is for Axon, that's taser equipment, cartridges, batteries, and new tasers, $5,487. And the final one is for our uniform and equipment vendor for $3,000.
Okay, does anyone have any questions?
All already in the budget, right?
Yes.
Yep, thanks.
Okay. All right, if I could get a motion to approve a request from the New Canaan Police Department to increase previously approved purchase orders with the following vendors: Angel Armor for $1,650 for ballistic vests and trauma plates, Axon Enterprises for $5,487 for taser equipment, and Gulls for $3,000 for uniforms and equipment.
So moved.
Second.
It's unanimous. Thank you.
Thank you.
Firefighter truck contract with Albee.
Good morning, all. The fire department would like to enter into a contract and approve the purchase for our new fire engine, a pumper with the Marion Body Works. The total will be $1,198,277,000. That's the bid it price and a $30,000 contingency moving into the project.
How much gets paid now? I was confused on that.
Marion really does not need a lot up front. I'd have to go back and ask him initially on that. It's I'll have to double check on what they are actually asking for, but it's a reasonably small amount until the chassis is delivered, which is about a year from now.
And did I read this right, that there's new regulations that come in that may change some of the structure? And if it does change in such a way it doesn't fit our bays, we get to drop.
Yeah, and that's what the little delay on the contract. The builder put in the contingency if their motor changes, that we're on the hook for the extra money for the motor. We negotiate it back with them that they will, if the apparatus changes size and it doesn't fit in the firehouse, we cannot accept the chassis, and they agreed to that because they'll be able to give it to somebody else. But we won't be able, if we can't fit it in the firehouse with that new motor, then we wouldn't accept it.
And the cost, the aluminum body option is taken out.
Correct.
So
yep.
What does that mean? We're not getting an aluminum body?
So originally the bid spec went out for a stainless steel body, and we asked for options for aluminum body, knowing that it's going to reduce the weight of the apparatus and ultimately reduce the cost. So we chose to go with the aluminum body off the original bid.
Okay, thank you.
But both vendors bid for stainless first and gave their price option for a change to aluminum prior to it.
Performance-wise, you're fine with that, and it's like.
Yeah, we talked about it. Yeah, the aluminum body. We have one apparatus that's aluminum now, and I lived aluminum bodies for my my career, and they last it.
Okay, thank you.
I mean, how besides the body differences and the dimensions, are there any other? You guys spend a lot of time customizing these trucks and put a lot of thought into them. Is there anything else that we here in New Canaan are using differently as far as equipment goes? I mean, what are the specific custom adds or deletes that we do to make it our own?
Not too much different than a regular apparatus. Just the way the cab sits, the way our the number of personnel we have. So we custom design the cab for equipment, easy use of equipment coming off. This apparatus actually is a larger water tank, which was a little uncommon to normal pumpers. So we put more water on it so we can have that on scene right away. But they're all called custom, no matter what you do, even though all our pumpers have been the same over the last 3, except for the water. So there's nothing that you just go and, like at a showroom and say, hey, I'm going to go just pick these options. Yeah. So the compartment sizes, configuration of compartments, depending on our current tools that we have that have to fit in there. So that's really the custom, is really just designing those compartments to fit what we already have.
Okay. Is the capacity of the tank any bigger than the one we have? Or
Yes. Yeah. So this is it's specified as a 1,200 gallon tank. All our apparatus right now, the engines have a 750 gallon tank. So we increase the water to have that readily available as our first two pieces on scene. And then we can limit responding the tanker, which you've heard a lot about over the last few months. The 3,000 gallons it wouldn't go on the road immediately all the time, but for fires, it would be the third due piece out.
And then just an unrelated question, but based on the recent fire we had in town, that was more of a downtown fire where there was a hydrant nearby.
Correct.
But you'd use this more for non-hydronated areas, or would you actually fight a fire with this truck?
No, it's the spec on it is truly an engine. So if it was, if the other engine was out on another call, this would immediately be able to do everything the first two engine does, but it just has that extra water on it. For when they both respond together, which is 90% of our time, they're both responding together. So which gives us almost 2,000 gallons on scene, and not taking the toll on the tanker running every call. So that's the benefit of this little bit of smaller water tank. than the tanker.
All right, thank you.
I don't have a question, but I did want to thank you and the department for your efforts last week in,
You're welcome.
Fighting. I
They
know
did a
it's-
great job. Good stop, limit it to, I mean, the fire damage, but as we like to say, is about a $2 million fire save.
Yep.
So, after the work, so.
Great. Well, thank you. And thank you to the entire department. So if there are no more questions, if I could get a motion to approve a request from the New Canaan Fire Department to enter into a contract with Marion Body Works in the amount of $1,168,277 plus a contingency of $30,000 for a total cost of $1,198,277. The project entails the build of a specific custom fire truck.
Second.
It's unanimous. Thank you.
Thank you.
John, pickleball instructor. Hottest sport going.
I have Zach with me too.
I'm sorry.
No, that's all right.
No worries.
So this, Steve O'Connell does our pickleball instructions for our clinics and that. So this $13,164 will cover us through the springtime for our programs. So with these programs, they're all cash positive. We bring in a little bit more than we pay out. So it shows that people are registering, and we're happy with it. So.
Great. Do you have any questions?
Any idea how much? Like if we're spending 13 on instruction, 13,000 on instruction, more or less, what do we bring in?
Most of the time, it's an 80-20% split
Okay.
for most of the programs, where that changes a little bit when the number of people, that type.
So we get 20%.
We're basically getting
Thank you.
20% of the
I was just
total.
curious.
Yep,
I mean, it's great. I mean, people love it. It's great. So,
that's it. Yeah, we're at the point now where it's the fine line with too much instruction compared to open play.
Right.
Is there enough, do we have enough courts?
Yeah.
Pickleball's growing.
Yeah.
So
And that 20% goes back into your programs.
It
I mean,
goes
right?
back
I think that
into
people
our-
should know that. It's not like, going to the town funds. It's
Oh, yeah.
basically to enhance the rec department offerings.
exactly,
Yeah.
except each year, this year, we're giving $100,000 back to the general fund to help offset some other costs, administrative costs, like Zach and my salary, that type of stuff.
Great.
So,
It's a great way to organize the programming. So
So Steve is at Mead then, right? That's where he's,
That's
yes, all the 5 pickleball courts down at Mead Park, yes.
and the contract covers sort of now to the end of the
Covers, this will cover us through June.
through June. Okay.
We'll be back with a whole, for next year's budget. Goes to you in the next few weeks,
Okay.
a lot of
for the
requests.
rest of the summer.
Yeah.
Okay, great. Thank you. All right, if there are no further questions, if I could get a motion to approve a request from the Recreation Department to compensate Steve O'Connell in the amount of $13,164 for pickleball instruction and programming.
So moved.
Second.
It's unanimous. Thank you.
Okay.
Tennis instructors.
Similar type thing. This is for Shane O'Reilly and Dan Schuler, who do our tennis programs there. So we're looking for a total of $72,352. Exact same thing as far as
Just through the end of this year.
just through the end of June.
So do we do way more tennis instruction or do you pay more for tennis instruction? Just looking at the differential.
We're doing more tennis instruction. That's why we have to. They also hire other people to work.
Okay.
Help and teach. For whatever reason, we have a lot of tennis instruction. People are really interested this year. We're hoping that popularity is coming back. It came back some with COVID, but we're hoping that it's going to keep on going forward.
It's the youth of the tennis. There's no really youth pickleball that we offer right now. So it's youth tennis. So it's that the
Oh, there
numbers
you
are
go.
double.
That helps. Yeah.
It's almost like camp.
Correct, exactly. Yep, they do 1 week camps versus
Yeah.
6 week programs.
Dan's like an institution over there. He's been there like
Right.
forever. As a tennis player,
Mhm.
he's like,
Are you using that Mead, we using Mead and high school courts for this, or is it just Mead?
This spring, unfortunately, since we only yesterday opened the last 2 tennis courts because of how much water and how soft they were because of them being clay courts. So he has been using the high school some this spring, mainly as overflow. And we've had to delay some of the youth tennis classes because the time that they would be there is when the high schools has their tennis programs going. So
As far as if a resident wants to sign up and they're new to town, what's the easiest way to get involved in the programs? Is there
Just
go right to
create
your
create an
site.
account on our website,
Yeah.
and then once you create an account, you got our email blast list. So you got email blast, and you'll be able to see all of our offerings on our website. That'd be the easiest way for someone new to join.
So, when do you envision being able to go back to meet for the tennis?
We're
instruction?
back at
You're
meet.
back.
We're
It was
back at
just
meet.
early,
It was the
on.
early.
Okay, and this is just through June too, so you'll be back.
We'll be back.
Okay.
That's great.
Great, good. All right, if any further questions, if I could get a motion to approve a request from the Recreation Department to compensate Shane O'Reilly and Dan Schuler in a total amount of $72,352 for tennis instruction and programming.
So moved.
Second.
It's unanimous, thank you. Purchase order increase.
Purchase order increase. So we need another $1,000 for Amazon with all our multiple departments in the thing. This brings us over the $10,000 limit. So we just needed another $1,000.
Just supplies.
It's supplies, et cetera, that type of stuff. When we can purchase and save money,
Yeah.
we do.
Good.
So
Yeah, that's great, and it's budgeted, so.
it's budgeted. Yep.
Okay, any other questions? If I could get a motion to approve a request from the Parks and Rec Department to increase a previously approved purchase order with Amazon by $1,000 for park and recreation operations.
So moved.
Second.
Unanimous. Electronic access system.
Okay, it's finally something real fun. Actually, not for most people, but it took me a long time to get this worked out. Presently at the dog park, we have an access control system where you put in a 4-digit code. Unfortunately, it doesn't communicate with the computer anymore, so we can't update the codes. So if somebody has a code and they've had it for 3 years, there's no incentive to repay for their use of the park, and codes get handed around and everything else. So we also don't have the control of knowing who was there when, if there is a problem. So this new system would actually have key fobs, you know, like we use getting in buildings, that type of thing, and everybody will be assigned a key fob. The benefit for us is we can turn people's on and off as we need to, and also know who's there when, in case there's an issue and the animal control officer needs to investigate something. So
So for a user, you sign up, and for a resident, it's $25, dog 1, $15, dog 2, correct?
and unfortunately, we're going to have to put a charge on for the key fob.
Well, I was going to ask you that
Mhm.
because, you know, this is over, what's it, like $12,000, right?
Exactly.
And it should, do you know how long it should last? Do they have a?
The lock system itself?
Yeah.
Probably for 15 years.
Okay.
You know, there's not much to it. Key fobs can break.
Sure.
And anything else. And what we say, if somebody loses one, the best part is we can turn it off and then it's not anything.
Right.
But we'd have to charge them for a new one. But if they come back with a broken key fob, that's easy. We'll just, you know,
Give 'em a new box.
reprogram another one, attach their name to the number.
So then you'll know which animals are there because, you know,
Exactly.
you have to sign up with, you know, the rabies, the vet, the whole thing. So that probably makes
Exactly.
it safer for everybody.
And that's part of the problem we have right now.
Mhm.
If people aren't re-registering, we don't know if they're truly updating their rabies, et cetera.
Yeah.
So
So how will you distribute the key fobs? Someone will actually go to the Park and Rec office to.
They're
you
going
have
to have-
physically go there to
Yep.
get it. You can't mail them to them. It's.
we're not going to mail them. We're going to have them come because that's when we're going to make sure if they haven't registered in the last couple of years, they bring the proper paperwork. And if they have, we'll just be selling them a key fob per se.
And then part of that paperwork, as Amy said, is the proper shots and everything. You check
Exactly.
all that as you go through. That's
Yeah.
great.
And that current protocol right now is they do come to Waveney House currently, so we're not changing anything. They cannot do a dog pass online. So it is through Waveney House. They come and fill out the form, get their proper vaccinations forms to be, and then.
Oh,
good to
see, I
go
was
from
going to
there.
ask you that because I was wondering, depending on how people use the park, if it was difficult for people to get to the park during
Business
open
hours, yeah, that's
But
how
we
that's how it
currently
goes now. Okay.
What we're going to probably do is put the system in,
Mhm.
you know, make sure everything's working and then give a grace period where the gates will basically be open.
Right.
But then you have time to get there. If we need to, we might set up a booth at the Paddle Lodge and sell them on
Like
sell
on a
them per
weekend or
se
something
on a
like that.
weekend or
Yeah.
something. We don't know for sure if we're gonna have to. Right now, everybody needs to go to the rec office to register anyways, so we're not really changing anything.
Although, I guess they have to go to the rec office they could go online to register,
No.
not for the dogs.
No,
at
because
all.
of the paperwork we need
Oh,
to
you
make sure
can't
that the
scan
dogs,
paperwork in.
no, not right now.
That is a process improvement you could look into.
We can look into that.
Yeah. I do it, everything through your vet is online now. Like I don't have to do anything like in person. So, people are getting used to that. So we should probably look into
Okay.
maybe. Because my other question, I'm not sure I understood what you were saying to Amy. So for those residents who have dogs and want to, register and they work full time, how do they get a key fob if they can't get to the office during the week? Can we charge them a fee to mail it to them if they can't get to? My concern is, lots of people work and, and our hours are not ideal for people who work full time.
Okay.
We could charge
We can
them.
definitely look
Can you
at, we could look into it.
Yeah.
you-
I don't, it doesn't feel like, it's not super easy for people who work. So.
Okay.
I think if a resident contacts us, we do have some people that are like John said on the weekends. So maybe that's a type of option. We know that Deanna's coming in on Saturday. We'll have the form there for her. Maybe our attendant will collect the check for her and give her the pass that day. So there are some options. They let us know
Okay.
prior, give us a call to the
Okay.
office.
I don't mind charging them a fee to mail it to them.
Sure.
Whatever, you just, and what are we gonna charge for the key fob? Do you know?
$15.
$15.
Yep.
And if you lose it, is it another $15?
It'll be another $15.
That's fine. All right.
Yeah.
So,
So,
all
and,
right.
and some people might want to have 4 key fobs for the family.
Yeah.
Because they have multiple dogs. Regularly, they'd share their code.
Wow.
But in this case, unless you want to transfer the key fob back and forth,
Okay.
you might have to buy extra.
Okay.
So.
Okay.
And can you remind us about the usage of the park, resident, non-resident?
Yeah, how many people? I guess you don't really know, right?
Right now, we really don't know,
Yeah.
unfortunately. But we're about 50-50 as far as residents and non-residents.
Do we have a guess of how many
400 and something.
total?
Yeah.
Okay.
So, and we have some people that are there 4 times a day,
Sure.
and then other people that they might come once a week.
So do we do an upcharge for non-residents?
Yes.
It's 40.
Okay.
I looked online. That was
Mhm.
right.
Yeah.
Second dog's 15 though. It stays the same.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
It's,
are you-
it's a
are you-
victim of its own success. Unfortunately, the grass wears out because we have a lot of usage.
No, that's
But-
it's fair.
Yeah.
It's a nice thing for the
Which goes to my
community.
next question. So given usage, how are you guys in terms of does Spencer's Run, do you have like maintenance issues or expenses related to it that we should keep an eye on going forward and, hopefully this offsets it or?
You do.
Yeah.
In the recreation budget, there is, I believe, $16,000. I could be wrong on the
Mhm.
number exactly, for maintenance of the dog park.
Okay.
And that's we use it for anything from fixing a rotten post to overseeding, and we do some organic fertilizer. in
So
there.
that's just the general budget. I mean, this is not generated from, is this generated from the fees to use the dog park? Is that where
It
the
was,
money comes
it
from?
was developed
Yeah,
for the
okay.
fees to
I just wanna make sure
use.
it is.
But it does not go into self-sustaining. That was kept in the general fund, and the money that comes in for the dog park goes back to the general fund. That's not in self-sustaining.
It would be good if this could be self-sustaining because not everybody uses it, it's not a huge number, so
Yeah.
Yeah, how close are we to sort of?
covering our costs.
Right now, we're not close because people haven't been re-registered.
Oh, well, okay. So
Mhm.
maybe after a year or two of this.
We should be
can
pretty
figure it
close. That's how
out.
the number was developed. We
Mhm.
kind of plan our maintenance
Yeah.
due to what the budget is, which was developed on how many people, how much money should be coming.
Okay.
How quickly will this be put in?
Just talking to the contractor over the weekend.
Great.
The only thing that's holding him up really is us digging a trench to run a conduit from the paddle lodge.
Oh, cool.
But so I'm hoping right after Labor Day, we install it. I'm hoping for like July 1st when we can truly
Memorial
go
Day.
live.
Memorial Day.
No, I'm hoping for July 1st when we can truly go live.
Right.
There's going to be a little bit of time.
Yeah.
We got to give people time to get their fobs.
Sure.
Okay.
Cool.
All right. Any
So this
other-
includes trenching and everything in this number?
The trenching we're going to do in-house.
Okay.
Yeah, and putting the conduit in. So
So where's that coming out of?
that's just coming out of the guys
Parks?
going out there to dig.
That's out of the park budget, though?
We're just gonna do the work.
We're going to do
They're
the
gonna do
work.
the work,
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Okay. Any other questions?
Nope.
So if I could get a motion to approve a request from the Parks and Rec Department to enter into a contract with the United Alarm Services in the amount of $11,904.75 plus a contingency of $595.25 for a total project cost of $12,500. The project entails the installation of a new access control system in Spencer's Rock.
So,
Oh,
second, whatever.
No,
Amy,
She's the dog owner.
Steve, Amy, Steve, there we go. All right, if I can move, and it's unanimous. Seasonal employees, John.
Okay.
Oh, that was quite a list.
It is quite a list.
Quite a list.
So this is 95 summer help part-time employees. The list includes, and it's for both summer camp and the Steve Banko Pool and Kiwanis Park, attendance, etc. So most of these people are kids. And when I say kids, high school for lifeguards into college. There's nothing better than we can have a high school senior that gets their lifeguard certificate and wants to be here for 4 years. So there's a number of the people that are coming back for another year.
How is getting lifeguards this year? I've been hearing that there's
We are doing very well.
Okay,
Part of what we do with our lifeguards, if they have their certifications, we have basically hired everybody that is certified, that has come forward for lifeguards. With that said, we always plan on some that aren't going to work out either on our part or on their part. So there's 55 lifeguards. We like to be at 50.
Okay.
You know,
okay.
kids still have vacations and everything else. We try not to
Yep.
say you just got to come to work. It's a summer job. Unfortunately, if we said that, they just say, okay, I'm done. So right
So
now
you have
we're
a
in.
little room for attrition, but
Yep.
not a lot.
Yep.
Okay.
Right now we're in a good place. And if for some reason something happens, we'll be back with more people.
Hey, John, how does it work with the guards? One of my kids guarded way back when. And, so a kid, an employee is committing to work. And then it would be rainy and then they would get canceled, even though it was in the budget to pay them, which it's like I feel
We
like
don't-
if people are committing to be there.
Yes, they're committing to be there and
We should
we're
commit to
committing to
pay
pay them.
Yeah, good.
If they truly stay home, we don't. But
That's fair.
we take last year, we only closed the pool for 1 year.
Mhm.
For the whole day. It was one of those days where it was just going to rain all
Yeah.
day. And think of like
One day.
one day.
Yeah.
For 1 day. The year before, we didn't close it all completely. Now, that doesn't mean we don't have to close when there's lightning
Yeah.
and we might not open back up depending on when the storm comes, but they get paid.
Yeah, but you don't get called and say, you don't come in because it's raining.
No, at the most we will do is say you have the option of not
Okay.
coming in.
Yeah.
Then they-
All right, I just wanted to make sure.
Yeah, but we'd rather have them come in on the chance that storm is gone because we all know the weather doesn't,
Yeah. Okay, great.
weathermen don't always tell us exactly what's going to happen. So we'd rather have them here.
Yeah.
So, and like summer camp, when it rains, we still have the kids. We
How many-
just
how
have
many
to
guard-
scramble
How
around.
many guards at the pool at one time? I mean, there's 50, who managed, the 55, that's a lot to manage.
Steve Dayton is our aquatics director, so he ultimately manages it. He has people doing the schedule underneath him too, some of the day-to-day managers, because that's a chore.
Yeah.
I can't come in, that type of stuff.
But the pool's big. How many guards are there, at one time?
It's like 4. I've been there.
There's like 4 on the chairs, but we
Yeah.
also have them
There's like
rotate
8.
around. One of the reasons why I think we don't have a problem getting lifeguards like a lot of places is we don't put them on the chair and have them sit there for 45 minutes. They're rotating every 15 minutes. So they get a break where they can't leave the pool area. And if there's an emergency, they're still there to respond, but they're getting a break. They can talk to their other lifeguards.
And we staff
It works.
Kiwanis as well with those
Yeah.
same guards.
Yeah. And plus you pay more attention when you're moving around. I mean, you can keep them around,
Exactly.
so.
Yep.
Great.
Any other questions? If not, if I could get a motion to approve a request from the Parks and Rec Department to hire 95 summer part-time employees for the 2024 summer recreation season.
So moved.
Second.
It's unanimous. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
All right, Don.
Good morning. Good
Good
morning.
morning.
So our first item is for an approval of a contract with Oak Ridge for our 2-year contract for single stream recycling. We went out to bid. Received two bids, Oak Ridge and Wind Waste. And Oak Ridge was the low at $65 for the tip and $185 for the haul for both years. So that'll be consistent throughout. As far as how that compares to last year, it's basically almost the same. The current tip fee is $65 and the pole was $187. So we're actually a little bit less by $2 per pole. So it's a 2-year contract. We've had success with the 2-year contracts for this single stream, and we'd like to go forward with this contract with Oak Ridge.
Any questions?
Tiger, just in terms of comparing the cost for moving recycled materials from the transfer station to just regular trash, right? So our tipping for the regular trash, we were 115? 111, right. But there's not a 185 per haul charge on that, right?
No, that's all included. The
Yeah.
tip- That's a tip and haul is all included for
Right. I
111.
mean, recycling's changed. You used to make money off it. Now you have to pay to get away. But is it still all in cheaper for us to move the recycling out than if people just tipped it into trash? You know what I mean?
What is that question?
Don't answer the question.
It all depends. I mean, some states change the rule. If it becomes, recycling becomes more costly than trash,
Yeah.
then it can go in the trash.
Yeah.
But that has to come down from the state level.
Okay.
We have no control over that.
No, I know you don't. It's just,
Yeah.
it's a funky market. Recycled material is a funky market and it moves all the time.
Yeah. And I'm not a fan of single stream, but
No,
that's a whole nother.
that's a whole nother thing.
That's a
Okay.
whole nother
Yeah, that can be a whole-
conversation. They were paying a lot for single stream.
To not be able to
Yeah.
get stuff out of it. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, what used to be free is,
Yeah.
yeah,
Well,
or got rebate. Now you don't get the rebates
Yeah.
anymore.
No, no.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
let's all use less. That's the best.
Any other questions? All right, if I could get a motion to approve a request from the Department of Public Works to enter into a 2-year contract with Oak Ridge Waste of Danbury, Connecticut for the hauling and recycling from the transfer station at the following rates. Year 1 at $65 per ton and $185 per ton per haul, sorry. And then year 2, $65 per ton and $185 per haul. The contract would be effective July 1, 2024, and estimated annual cost is $399,642 for 2 years.
So moved.
Second.
It's unanimous, thank you. And then transfer station yard waste.
Okay, so very similar. So we went out to bid. Again, this time we received 3 bids. And Enviro wanted back in, so they were the low. They came back in for our CD, our construction debris, they're looking at $95 a tip and $185 for the pole. And then for brush, they're looking at $50 and $190. Both for a 2-year contract.
So the brush, that's what people bring in, right?
Correct. Well, the people, town, the highway department, the
Gotcha.
storm, stuff like that.
Got it.
Right, to give you consistency, right now, we're paying 98 a tip and 195 a pull. So we're actually saving a little bit of money on both the tip and the pull for the CD. And then for the brush, it's a wash on the tip, but the pull, we're saving $5 per pull. We're paying 195 right now with Wind Waste, and we're paying 190 with Enviro as of July 1.
Is the haul the big container? Is that?
Yeah, that's when they
Yes,
pick it up,
that's when
dump
they
it, and
come
bring it
pick it up.
back.
How,
right.
so how many tons go in there, more or less?
It vary on average, probably about 10 tons for the brush and maybe 8 for the C and D.
Okay.
Tell me what C&D is again?
Construction and demolition.
Okay,
Sorry.
that's okay.
And you guys are seeing now post-COVID, because we had that big spike. Now, are we able to sort of tell?
COVID, we
where-
really spiked,
Yeah.
and then all of a sudden it started dropping again. Now it's starting to
That's
go
right.
back up. People are getting work done on their properties and houses and stuff like that.
That's
Yeah.
the question, whether or not you're able to level it out. So, because some of these numbers, we're approving numbers based on, well, it's about $200,000 a year. How
Yeah.
confident are we that that's going to be?
Sometime like the year before we got lucky, it went down, but this year it's starting to go back up again.
We're averaging about what we're budgeting or estimating, so, and then we only like we just came to you a couple weeks ago to increase the PO because we had based upon last year's PO, right? We had monies in the budget based upon an overall, what our average is for past 3-5 years. So that factored in COVID and it factored in the down year. But we don't contract with them until it's necessary. So we came to you and asked for an increase a couple of weeks ago to increase that PO because we had based it upon last year's numbers, and this year's we saw a spike.
And one good windstorm, 1 or 2, and that drives the numbers up too, because we get everything that comes in from them too, so.
I remember seeing the numbers after like a Sandy.
Oh, Sandy, forget it.
That was crazy.
I mean, what the town picks up, we don't charge, but like if a resident comes in with construction debris, they charge.
Yeah, over 300 pounds.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So just, so there is an offset here. These are the costs, but we do have revenue coming in against it.
Although do we see most residents bringing under 300 pounds?
The first
If I
time,
knew that was the rule, I would be bringing under 300 pounds.
just the first trip. The second trip,
first
you pay
trip.
full price.
Oh, you do?
Right,
Okay.
yes,
Is that a
Per
week?
day.
A day.
Oh,
Oh, they can come in multiple times, but the first one gets the 300 pounds.
okay. But if I come in tomorrow,
Yeah, you get the 300 pounds
I
again.
got it.
There is a way to work around the system.
There's a
Yeah,
few
I'm
that do
just-
it, trust me.
Just saying. Okay. All right. Any other questions? All right. So if I could get a motion to approve a request from the Department of Public Works to enter into a 2-year contract with Enviro Express of Bridgeport, Connecticut for the hauling and disposal of transfer station materials at the following rates. Year 1 and 2 yard waste at $50 per ton and $190 per haul. Year 1 and 2 construction and demolition at $95 per ton and $185 per haul. The contract would be effective July 1, 2024, and estimated 2-year annual cost is $455,280 for 2 years.
Second.
It's unanimous. Thank you.
While we have you guys here, just a quick comment on the swap shop. What do you think that's pulling away from have any idea in terms of, well, I know
At the beginning, they were weighing everything as it
Yeah.
came in, but then it got too, monotonous. They just said,
Well, I'm sure there's people leaving with some stuff, which is good. So that's.
well, we're cleaning, they're open Wednesday through Saturday.
Yeah.
And each day, there's quite a good sized pile of stuff sit outside that we have to, take away for them.
Okay.
But that would have been directly put into the.
Yes,
Correct.
So,
yes.
Right.
so
And it would have been
anything
underneath.
that leaves is a good thing.
Yes.
We still feel it's a successful program, and I still think it's saving the town some money.
Yeah.
In the end, there is, to Donnie's point, there's garbage left over, what you would consider to be garbage or things that people didn't want to take. But it's less than what we would have received, had we just not had the swap shop, if you will.
And it's community building
Yeah,
in a
everybody-
funky way.
everybody
It's kind of like the white elephant all year round.
Yeah, you were there last week.
There's a
Drop
social element to it as well.
Yeah, no, it's
People
good.
meet and
All
it's
set.
fun.
I think so. Okay, thank you very much. Thanks.
Thanks.
All right. Great. Thank you. Striping.
So this next is just to increase a purchase order with safety markings. This $8,310 basically fills out. We have $20,000 in the budget for the year. This would fill out the remaining portion of that for various striping locations. We have some residential requests of some areas that are in need of repair. So this would just fill out that for the year.
Is this, so the Morse Court restriping is not?
Is
in
not
this?
included in this, no.
So this is just all residential
Just-
streets?
Yes, yeah, sorry.
Like double lines, or single lines, bike lines, or.
Yeah, mostly crosswalks, for the most part, is what we try to focus on, are the
Okay.
crosswalks themselves. And then some edge line striping, things like that for traffic calming.
Tiger, are we rethinking some of this striping at all? And I know it's complicated given the recent presentation on walkable New Canaan. It's just that weird dynamic. It's like, and sometimes the center stripe not having it's better because it slows people down. Or is it just too early to kind of make this adjustment yet?
We started looking at some areas we can't.
Yeah.
But we have looked at some, and we had been removing prior.
Okay.
So we were kind of
You've
successful.
been on that track.
We've been on that track prior as well. What we were starting to focus on more was edge striping. And we've had residents request some traffic calming. We've suggested edge striping and some want it, some don't. So, but that would be the exact same situation where he was talking about you edge stripe and then you narrow the road, if you will. And then that gives you concern from the driver as far as, and that gives you a slower speed.
Right.
So we saw, when we did Main Street on edge striping, we saw a 2 to 3 mile per hour reduction in our speeds on Main Street from the time that we, prior to putting in this edge striping to after.
I mean, that's
So-
amazing, that striping, those things can change behavior that much, because the slower you are, the less damage happens to anybody.
Right, there's a market change every 5 miles per hour as
Yeah.
far as injury and then death.
Right.
It's risk, serious injury to death is at every 5 mile increment, the percentages spike quite
Right.
rapidly. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like an exponential.
Yeah, it's almost a logarithmic curve, if you will. It's
Right.
very tight.
A lot of the newer cars have lane departure warning, and if you have that side stripe, it'll actually correct your car automatically, where you're staying in that given lane. But if you don't have that stripe,
Well, that's what they're saying for autonomous vehicles is actually, you actually have to have the striping because that's how it finds itself in the lane.
yeah.
Great, thanks.
Could I get a motion to approve the request from the Department of Public Works to enter into a contract with Safety Markings, Inc. in the amount of $8,310 for the striping of various locations in town?
So
Second.
It's unanimous. Thank you. Town Hall Annex HVAC Boiler Project.
Okay, so we went out to bid for this project. This is to install a new gas-fired boiler, pumps, piping for a new complete heating system, and then a 7.5 ton air conditioning system for the lower level. So we went out to bid. We received 3 bids. Eastern Mechanical came in as the low at $78,300. We added a project contingency of 10% for $7,830 for a total of $86,130. The funds are currently available. And then we'd like to move forward.
So Tyler, I know the air conditioning broke. So the air conditioning is a must-do project. The boiler, was that on like a schedule that we were planning to do that anyway?
That's correct. And then the boiler sits in front of the air conditioning.
Yep.
So we would have to remove the boiler to get at the unit anyways. So it's a perfect time for us to go and do that. This is for the lower level, the AC for the lower level. We'll be looking to do the upper level later. But this was, yes, it's literally it's in the way, and it was slated to come out.
So there's no benefit. Did you look at doing the upper level at the same time with the lower level? Or?
No, we looked at just strictly the bottom. The other one doesn't need replaced.
It
We're
doesn't?
looking at it in future years.
And you don't
for
have
that.
to move the boiler out to get to the
No,
upper level AC?
No, totally separate,
Okay, great.
if you will.
are we currently gas now, or was it oil? before?
It was oil. This will be going to
Brand new
gas.
gas,
Right,
'cause you
right.
got
We
the-
have gas. It's already, it's there. These will be hooked up to gas.
Great.
Was it the
So-
original boiler?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay,
It
so it's
was. So it's time. Right.
Okay, great. All right. There's no further questions. If I could get a motion to approve a request from the Department of Public Works to enter into a contract with Eastern Mechanical Services in the amount of $78,300 plus a contingency of $7,830 for a total cost of $86,130. The project entails the installation of a new gas boiler, pumps, piping, and all related equipment for a new heating system, as well as a new 7.5 ton air conditioning system for the lower level.
So moved.
Second.
It's unanimous. Thank you.
Thank you.
East School Little Brook Drive.
So this is a combination project where we'll be doing repaving Little Brook Drive as well as the circular drive of East School, combined with some additional parking area around that center, that circular drive, some sidewalks, granite curbing, and then the sidewalk itself that leads from the large parking lot of East School all the way up to Clapper Hill and around to 106. So it's kind of a combination between the two. That the quantities themselves to do the road versus do the parking lot were both too small, so we combined them together. So we went out to bid. In this situation, we solicited directly from 7 contractors. We received 1 bid. This is from Burns Construction. His numbers, comparatively speaking, compared to the projects that you see coming forward after that, West School and the train station and others, they're all comparable. So he didn't make a change based upon the fact that he was the only bidder. He didn't know when he walked into the room. So it is a comparable bid as far as numbers and unit pricing goes from one to the next. But he came in at $464,387.35. I added a 15% contingency of $69,500 for a total of $533,887.35. We have the funds currently available on our payment management program, and he'll be coming in right after school ends. Contract stated come in June 17th and finish the week prior to school going back into session. So he has this school, and if you award the next contract, to be West School, so he's looking at doing both at the same time, and Littlebrook. So we'll just take it out of service at that time and then bring it back in right for school.
So, it's jumping forward, but the West
Sure.
School, did you get multiple bids
I
there?
did.
Just one?
Yeah, we did for,
So is it just like, given the time frame, these have to be done, the capacity of people
correct.
to get it done? Okay.
Comes
so
down to
these guys
eventually-
have capacity, the other people.
Right. We had more bidders for our local roads since they were prior to the summer, and then everyone starts to get busy through the
Right.
summer. Then for West School, we had 3 bidders. And then the train station, I had 3 bidders, and then this one, unfortunately, we only had 1. You know, some were the same, but there was crossover between all the contractors, if you will, from our local roads project to the train station, West School, East School, so I was able to compare across the board from each one to see exactly how they aligned and to see whether or not there was a, you
So
know,
the pricing's aligning.
the
even
pricing
though you don't
aligned.
have multiple
Yeah,
bids.
even if I didn't have multiple bids, the pricing is aligned, which was, that gave comfort to the, you know,
To not having multiple bids.
that's correct. And for me to come forward with the recommendation. Sure.
So just, I guess I just want to step back a little bit and say, so was this because we came to this bid later in the season? And so the contractors were already,
We were
sort of
still,
engaged.
right, we were
And
still early in the season, if you will, as far as coming out for the bids.
Yeah.
This bid went out in, I forgot exactly when, but it's been out April 4th. So we were out quite early, you know, because we staged each one coming forward. So I did the local roads, West School, this one, and then the train station. And interestingly enough, the train station, I had more bids on the train station than I did on East School.
So can I ask you,
Sure.
just because I'm new, relatively
Mhm.
new and I understand, why don't we take a holistic approach for the season and try and get one bidder to get a big project and lower pricing probably for a larger job?
Likely
Don't-
they wouldn't be able to, we did that previously, we did that at the, we actually tried that last year with this, and I couldn't get anybody to come forward with multiple, right? Because they have time to do one, not all, if you will. So time in their schedule, because every school in the region needs to be paved at a certain time, if you will. So last year I had the exact same problem. I tried to combine them as well. And then previous to that, I combined, and the contractors were basically saying, can't you split them up, and can you bid them either separately, or can you award them separately? Because I only have time to do one, if you will. I don't have time to do all. So that was the bigger problem, is that the majority of the contractors are tied up with other projects in other municipalities during the exact same time frame.
So that means that they went out to bid earlier.
No,
They got
some are
those
on a,
bids Earlier to.
no, some are on they're called back, like FGB is called back to Greenwich every year. They're
It's
on
like
a
a retainer
repeat
almost.
contract.
So why don't we do something? I'm just trying to figure out, is there a better way to skin the cat? So
We would like to do that. We haven't, you know, that's a very good question. We would like to get to that point where if we had a low bidder, we could then work on multiple years, if you will, and then be tied in. Most of the time it's tied in with a small multiplier for increase year over year for their staff. And then the asphalt itself has what's called an asphalt adjustment clause in it, whereby it's based upon at the time of bid, you have how much oil would cost, the unit cost at that time, and then plus or minus at the time of lay, when you're putting it down, you know exactly how much it's costing at that point in time. That's tracked in New Haven as far as when all the materials come in. And then the state has a calculation based upon the amount of asphalt that's in the pavement. And plus or minus, the town either saves money or actually has to pay additional money based upon how much the unit is at the time of lay. So that is a great question. We've looked at that. We
So
just
what approvals would we have to get to be able to do something like that? Besides, does that have to go through all 3 boards? or
No,
just
strictly
this
you,
board?
strictly you. Yeah.
It's almost like you're going out to bid for legal services, right?
Mhm.
And you're gonna bid and you're gonna lock them in for 3 years,
Mhm.
but then there would be variable adjustment clause
Mhm.
given the raw materials change.
Yeah, I
Right.
just like the idea of
Make
having
it
more
life easier.
control over, who's in the town and, one point of contact One, it just from an efficiency standpoint, it just seems like it would be much easier on the Department of Public Works to have one point of contact for the season at least, instead of 6 different vendors in 6 different locations and managing. I don't know. I mean,
No,
I'm not
we
an
very
expert
much
in
agree with
this.
you. It's just at the time, that was not, previous boards didn't necessarily want to go down that avenue, but there are other municipalities that are doing that. Greenwich does it very successfully, if you
Mhm.
will. And we had floated that idea utilizing Greenwich's contract prior and,
I think it would just have to be communicated, because people would be like, why didn't you get 3 bids? And it's basically, no, we're going to take this.
Well, we
budget.
would initially. We
Right.
get 3
Correct.
bids to start.
But
and
you
then
can,
it
you
would be
can see how
for-
people come back and
Yeah.
say,
Yeah. Well,
so I
I'm
think-
comfortable when if we got bids to begin with,
Mhm.
because you're getting bids, you're going out
Yeah.
for an RFP, and then you can say, I got 3 bids and it's for 3 years.
Yeah.
So, but
And
you're right.
the variable cost will adjust just
Right.
with the input
Right.
cost.
Correct.
Right.
So,
Is it because of Greenwich's volume? Is that how they're able to do that? I mean, they're obviously a bigger town, but.
yes and no. I mean, they did just the way they structure their contract,
Yeah.
if you will, and then and then they're able to carry it forward. So not necessarily, we're still well suited to do it. We've been, I'll say lucky, we've had the same contractor. FGB's been doing our local roads for 3-4 years now, at least. There was a point in the middle there where he lost a couple of years, and then he had been doing it prior to that. So very similar situation. So we're well suited to be able to do that. It's just a question of, it
What was
really
the
comes down.
reasoning when you looked at that initially? Why that?
That would be a question for the board. They felt, to Amy's point, they wanted to bid it. They wanted to, each time in that regard, oh no, you don't want to have a rider. We could do better. The possibility of
Lots of small contracts.
well, and you might get better, if they can
Service.
book on you, like Burns, we use a lot, then they'd be like, okay, you're a key client or
Yeah.
something.
right. There's, that,
We
right.
can look at
I
that for next
I
year.
don't,
For
Makes
next year.
lessons.
Let's look at that for next
that's
year.
fine.
Make
We
your life easier.
Yeah.
would look forward to that, to be
Yeah.
honest.
No, I
You know.
think we'll end up saving money,
Mhm.
to be honest with you, and probably get better.
We have better
service.
control.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There is the control aspect as well, because you have the contractor that you're comfortable with, that you're working with. And, and you don't, if something goes wrong, you're not under obligation to renew.
Yep.
If you will, you can cut the contract at that time. Say, everything went south for a year, if you will.
Well, and don't you think they sharpen their pencils a little because it's a bigger contract? I mean, you're going to get people really like, this is a big contract. I'm going to really look at it and.
Well, it's also the thought if they think that it's going to be multiple years, then yes.
They can plan. So
Right.
it's a benefit for
Right.
both
Good idea.
Exactly.
sides.
And then what winds up happening is you get, in this regard, they get first billing, if you will, right? Because I'm already committed. So, the contractor would already be committed to the town. We wouldn't have to worry about hearing, I'm already committed elsewhere, if you will, right? So that's one of the problems that we have, is that they're committed elsewhere. So
Getting back to this East
Sure.
School job though, I know in the past FGB, they've done sidewalks and curbing and everything too. They're not just paving, because this is a multifaceted job over there.
Right. So Burns just finished the pool.
Yeah.
And it came out very nice. I don't know if you've gone up to the Banco pool.
that's great.
They'll be laying out the striping today. We'll go out there and take a look at it, and then they'll be striping hopefully this evening, because then it's going to start to rain for the next couple of days. But they did a very nice job on that. And the crew that's slated, that did that project, is slated to do this in West School.
That's great. I mean, this corridor where this is, as you know,
Mhm.
we've had complaints for years there, and this is going to be so nice to have that done. I mean, we've dug it up so many times coming through with water lines.
Mhm.
I mean, it's just been a nightmare over there. So I'm
No,
sure
no.
I'm sure all the residents over there and the parents of all the kids at East School, I mean, it's just been broken up and awful for a long time.
We were slated to do this in 2018,
Yeah.
Little Brook Road itself. And then to your point, we were put on hold because of gas came in 2019. And then the 36-inch line, I asked them to come in 19, and they didn't come in until last year. So, and then last year, all we could do was put a thin overlay over it, because they took up the entire season for us, the construction season during the summer. They actually came past that and went into the school season, if you will. So yes, it's been 6 years or more in the making
Yeah, they're gonna have a
to
party over there.
finalize this road.
It's great news.
Any other questions? Great. All right. If I could get a motion to approve a request from the Department of Public Works to enter into a contract with Burns Construction in the amount of $464,387.35 plus a contingency of $69,500 for a total cost of $533,887.35. The project entails the milling, reclaiming, and repaving of East School Drive and Lovebrook Road.
So moved.
Second. It's unanimous. Thank you.
Enthusiastically so moved.
Thank you.
All right, West School parking lot.
So very similar to this, we went out to bid. We solicited directly from 7 contractors. We went out publicly advertised, solicited directly from 7, received 3 back, Burns, Waters, and Grasso. Burns was the low at 440, and this is where I mean where they're comparable between the two. And this is basically all at West School to take care of both the entrance drive, that circular drive, and the larger parking lot, and then a series of sidewalks that are in disrepair throughout the area. And again, they'll be coming in. They're looking at that June to August timeframe to come in and do this work.
Does it go all the way back behind the school where it's like the play area?
Not the play area. We'll be stopping at the junction between the play area and the parking lot
So all the
itself.
parking.
All the parking, yeah. The play area had been done in the
Recently.
not so distant future, past. Yeah.
Okay.
Any other questions? All right, if I could get a motion to approve a request from the Department of Public Works to enter into a contract with Burns Construction in the amount of $440,157.50 plus a contingency of $66,000 for a total cost of $506,157.50. The project entails the milling, reclaiming, and repaving of West School parking lot and front circular drive.
So moved.
Second.
It's unanimous. Thank you.
Thank you.
Elm Street.
So this is the train station, the parking lot at the train station on Elm Street. We went out to bid against publicly advertised, went to 7 separate contractors. American Pavement, this is the first time we'll be utilizing them, came in as the low bid at $127,730. They were very close on our local roads project. FGB was the low and American was just below them. And I think American, they wanted that contract. So I think that they were extra sharp coming in for this one, since they beat FGB by about $20,000. So this is $127,730 with a $19,000 contingency for a total of $146,730.
And this is the northern lot.
This is the northern lot, right? So this will kind of finish off the area. We did a very nice dedication last week
Yeah.
for the 9/11 memorial. This will finish off the area and the pavement, and then that whole section will be done.
Any effect to commuters as far as what they'll need to know?
We'll be doing this in the summer, and we'll be working with Stacy on that's one of the reasons why we started with the lumberyard lot first, to try to then be able to finish that, push people over there, and then come here. This work shouldn't take that long. It's literally just milling and paving, a little bit of curbing work, and that's it. So it should be just come in and
Minimal
go.
disruption.
Yeah, not as much.
Okay, any other questions? Not, if I could get a motion to approve a request from the Department of Public Works to enter into a contract with American Pavement Specialists in the amount of $127,730 plus a contingency of $19,000 for a total cost of $146,730. The project entails milling, reclaiming, and repaving of the Elm Street train station northern parking lot.
So moved.
Second.
It's unanimous.
Thank you.
Moving services.
So this is for a purchase order with Castor Moving for $6,000 to actually move the Playhouse seats to the Playhouse and then load them into the theater. So that should happen on May 31st. They've been storing the seats for us. They were storing the old seats in case we didn't get the new seats. Now they're storing the new seats, and they'll bring them to the theater so that Alden Bailey can install them. So we'll be bringing in each theater separately, and they'll go to installation on May 31.
So what are we doing with the old seats now, since we won't, now they can go.
They can go, right.
They can go to that.
Right.
Swap shop.
Might want to put a donation on them and see if we can, yeah.
So where are they getting moved from? I mean.
Castor has its own storage facility in Norwalk,
Yeah,
then
I mean, $6,000?
there's a lot of moving parts associated with it to try to, one, separate them, to load them and then bring them each and then bring them into the theater. So it's basically $3,000 a theater, if you will.
Pardon me?
It's like $3,000 a theater, $6,000 total. So,
Yeah, 2 theaters.
right, 2 theaters.
I'm assuming it takes a couple days to do this.
It's at least a day, if not more. Yeah.
Okay.
Do they actually bring the seats right to where they're gonna be, or do they just pile them in there and that's it? You guys
That
have
I
to
don't
figure
know.
that out.
I thought they were bringing them in.
They're bringing them in. I
They're
just don't know
bringing
if they're
them
bringing
into
them
the
in
theater.
and then actually setting them in
Yeah.
place, or they're bringing them in the back and then they'll be brought forward, if you will.
They have to be
Well,
set.
to Amy's point, for $6,000, maybe they could put them where they belong.
They have to be clicked in place. There's actually like a little Jenga puzzle.
Right.
Yeah,
Putting them
okay.
in. So
Mhm.
I don't think we want Castor putting them in
No, we-
place. We want the
Do it right.
contractor
Right.
putting the.
We have a
seats in.
specialist from the
Right.
company that manufactured them here to help us assist on putting them in.
And this number is already within the budget for the project. This is not an additional cost associated with this. I mean, we assumed they were going to have a
We
cost.
made the
similar.
assumption that we would have this, yeah.
Yeah,
That we would
so-
have a storage cost for the seats and then an actual
Yeah.
delivery charge.
It's not like this extra expense we're not expecting. This was in.
Getting exciting, get to the
Check
seats.
off every bill.
Next thing is the projector.
Every bill. All right.
There's a really nice window with the planetarium system.
All right. If there are no further questions, could I get a motion to approve a request from the Department of Public Works to increase a previously approved purchase order with Castor Moving in the amount of $6,000 for the delivery of Playhouse Theater seats?
So moved.
Second.
It's unanimous. Thank you. Building repairs and purchases.
Okay, so this is basically a increase to previously approved change orders, purchase orders for either for town buildings or in some situations at the Playhouse, so it's a little combined. CV Longo, that's work at the Highway Department itself. Vinnie's Custom Iron has work at the Playhouse for some railings and then some additional work for the signage. F&M Electric is both supplies for some town buildings and then some supplies for the Playhouse. Hussey Brothers, this is for the gas line installation at the Lapham Community Center. So this is actually the trenching for the gas line. Eastern Mechanical is for both the Lapham gas installation and town buildings. Darien Electric is for the town buildings and the Playhouse itself. And then Northeast Generator is from additional repairs and services for the remaining portion of the season for all of the generators that we have in town. All total, it's $100,000, and we have the monies available in our current accounts.
So we just need to modify the agenda because says 96.
I'm sorry, right, at 96,000, that's correct,
So
it's 100,000.
It is 100. I just
Yeah.
added it up, but I
Right.
just want to make
Yep.
sure we edit that. Okay. Any questions? Not if I could.
Well,
oh,
we did have one note from a resident, just while we have, we're approving the ironworks.
Yeah.
And we had a note from from a resident about the railing and the curl of the iron on the railing in
Right.
terms of, is there a code that is?
There are various codes. So for that installation itself, I had the fire marshal out several times and the building official out to review the installation.
Yeah.
And then I sent that email to them this morning, asking them to then
Take a look at
review it again. Yeah, but they were out there specifically with the railing installer at the time of measurement, at the time of how we were configuring what was going to happen at the time of measurement. And then they went out post installation. So, but I'll ask them to go out again and take another look.
Yeah, I think the only hazard is like a bag or something, I
The
think that's
catch,
that hook,
yeah.
that where, you're
Mhm.
coming through on a stairwell, but, right. And they could
Right.
probably close that too if they.
They can, yeah, there's certain, yeah. We'll have them take a look at it.
Good. That's it. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other questions? If not, could I get a motion to approve a request from the Department of Public Works to increase previously approved purchase orders as follows? CB Longo, $10,000. Vinnie's Custom Iron, $5,000. F&M Electric, $20,000. Hussey Brothers, $10,000. Eastern Mechanical, $20,000. Darien Electric, $20,000. Northeast Generator, $15,000, for a total of $100,000.
So moved.
Second.
It's unanimous. Thank you.
Thank you.
Tree work.
So this next is a $25,000 increase to a current purchase order for Mill River Tree for emergency tree work. I tried to list out the current PO amounts for every single one of our vendors for our emergency tree work. As you know, they're on a weekly basis. So they're on for a week and then they're off for the cycle. And sometimes they get lucky, I guess you would call it. I don't think they'd call it lucky since it's an emergency work itself, but we had previous approval to for blankets for everyone to get the $45,000, and Mill River in this case is actually going to exceed that $45,000. So we're looking at him being at approximately around $70,000 for the end of the year. So we're asking for $25,000 on top of the previously approved 45 to get it to the 70,000. He has some work that he had done, and then he has at least 2 more weeks in the rotation, if you will, before the close of the season. So we're estimating that last bit, and we have funds available in the tree budget at present for the work.
Just so I understand how it works. So we have a bunch of people can provide tree service and they're on for a week or two. If we need them emergency, they're
Right.
just kind of on call.
They're on call.
You don't necessarily pay them anything, but yeah. But then if you get a storm and you might go over.
Right. We get a residential request or a complaint that says, hey, there's a hazard tree. We go out with the tree warden, looks at it. Okay, that needs to come down. We call immediately and have that taken care of. Yeah, if it's a hazard. If a tree falls middle of the night, police department have this list. Police department calls the contractor directly and then has the contractor come out and assist or remove the tree at that time. So yeah, so they're on for a week and then they're off. We have 6 separate vendors that roll through it. And the only way you get to bid on our tree work, which is the next item, is that you're on our emergency call list. You either say you want to be on the emergency call list, and if you don't, then you don't get to have the bidded work.
Yeah, and when you're on call, you if you're on call, you get paid. There's nothing.
If you don't get called, there's no stipends.
retainer.
There's no retainer. And then Bob reviews every single tree and every single bill as far as what the work is, and based upon his knowledge, he approves those. And if he feels that there's a concern with one, he'll talk to the vendor. If he feels that it was too large of a cost for whatever the work might have been, he'll go back to the vendor and say that he thinks that that's wasn't commensurate.
But if something happens like in the middle of the night and stuff, is there an upcharge for dealing with something? I mean, you often have that, with.
Well, typically they're on
It's not unfair.
they're on overtime,
Yeah.
and there is the hassle charge, if you
Sure.
will, as far as coming up. So there is a little bit of that, but there's no, to your point, there's no retainer. We don't pay a premium, if you will, except for the fact that it is 2 o'clock in the morning and it's overtime for the gentleman. He's already worked the full day. He's going to work the full day the next day. It's overtime for the company. It's
Sure.
overtime for us at that point in time.
Okay.
They're probably relieved when the week is over. I mean, they're probably relieved when the week is over if nothing's happened. 'Cause
Right.
They're all so busy that they'd rather not get the call for this kind of stuff.
Correct. That's why I say they're lucky, lucky, quote unquote.
All right, any other questions? If none, could I get a motion to approve a request from the tree warden to enter into I'm on the wrong one. Approval of a request from the Department of Public Works to increase a previously approved purchase order in the amount of $25,000 with no other tree service.
Second.
Okay, it's unanimous.
Thank you.
Tree warden.
All right, so last one. So this is an approval for a contract for our May 16 bid. We went out to our normal cadre, as we mentioned. We received 4 bids back. Hutchinson was the low bidder at $17,245. The next lowest was Olmsted at $18,330. So it was quite tight through there. And this is for 10 separate locations in town. Nothing truly of note as far as a park or anything of that nature. But Hutchinson's done great work for us, and we recommend the contract to Hutch.
Questions?
Tiger, is it unusual to get that level of spread? I mean, it's just Davey just doesn't.
No,
have time.
sometimes it's just they're busy, and
Yep.
I'll do it for, if you will.
Yep.
It's the reason for the multiple bidders.
Mm.
If you look back, you'll see a very similar
Jump around.
situation. They jump around. Yeah.
Okay.
Depends on if they want the work, probably.
Yeah,
too.
they have time, capacity. Mhm.
All right, if there are no further questions, if I could get a motion to approve a request from the tree warden to enter into a contract with Hutchinson Tree Care in the amount of $17,245. The project entails the removal, pruning, and stump removal of various trees in town.
Second.
It's unanimous. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, Cheryl.
Okay, good morning. I am here to present Allison Kenna for a position in the tax assessor's office. We had 25 applicants. We had a very strong pool. We interviewed 8. We brought it down to 2, and the tax assessor's office actually did some practical things with the 2 and chose Allison. She has currently worked at Darien Human Services since 21. She has great references, and she is also a realtor, so she's going to fit, I think, very well into that office.
Any questions?
I just a little worried about the interests, which is Darien football. I mean, I'm sure there's a kid associated with that, but it's my only cause. You know, so.
She is a mom and does
There
have
you
a son
go.
that
We
plays
get that.
football.
All right, so if I could get a motion to approve a request from Human Resources Director to hire Allison Kina as tax assessment technician for the tax assessor's office with a start date of 6/3/24.
So moved.
Second.
It's unanimous. And also, before you leave, we just wanted to say thank you and congratulations on 30 years of service to the town. Last week, we
Thank
had a
you.
little celebration for Cheryl's 30 years. I'm like, oh my goodness.
Thank you.
She
It's
started
been
when she
a
was
great 30
5.
years. So I've worked under 7 selectmen. So,
Wow.
yeah. So,
All right.
so thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Cheryl. Thanks for all your service.
Thank you.
Many, many years. Many more.
Yeah, we'll see.
All right, Anne, New Canaan Museum and Historical Society.
So each year we budget for a portion of, better lack of a word, like a grant to the Historical Society. In the past, it didn't come in front of the board because it was treated a grant, but we're treating everything now as a PO. So we get an invoice and we go forward with that. So looking to get the approval for the rec for the payment to go out to them. It's in the amount of $25,000 and it's budgeted.
That's what we agreed to.
Yep.
Okay. All right. So if I could get a motion to approve a request from the Finance Department to approve a purchase order in the amount of $25,000 for the New Canaan Museum and Historical Society as per agreement.
So moved.
Second.
It's unanimous.
Thank you.
We should give a plug to the New Canaan Museum and Historical Society. They're having their big event on May 31st.
Yeah.
And going to be opening the new museum. So if you haven't seen that, it's going to be a great thing for New Canaan. So definitely worth a trip through if once it gets open.
Great. Next item is contracts. You have the contracts under $10,000. Does anyone have any questions?
Nope, that looks good.
All right. Moving on to overpayments. If anyone has any questions on the tax overpayments? If not, if I could get a motion to approve refunds or tax overpayments.
So moved.
Second.
It's unanimous. Thank you. And selectmen's comments. I just have one comment. This weekend is Memorial Day weekend. And so there will be a parade starting at St. Mark's Church. Lineup is at 9. The parade begins at 9:30. It will, march through town. Let's pray for good weather. And then I would also like to encourage anyone in the community to stay after the parade. We march into the cemetery and there is a really nice recognition ceremony for our veterans. It happens every year, and Mike McGlynn at VFW Post has given an inordinate amount of time to making sure that this happens. So I would love to support our New Canaan veterans on that day, and that's why we're there. So that's my only comment.
Amy, everything?
No, I just would, if we can get an update in 2 weeks on where we are in the elevator project, that would be great.
Okay.
That'd be great.
Yeah, the only thing I had, Utilities Commission meets tonight and they're looking at some of the results from UCLA. So that's going to be interesting to hear back on what they have. And you had a meeting with the parking with some of the business owners, which was interesting, and hopefully that's going well.
Yeah, I mean, I think we're socializing things, taking in comments. So, in general, we're getting a lot of positive responses, but there's, as you might expect, some concern. So we're just trying to make sure we're hearing everybody and,
Studying.
taking in, all the concerns. And we probably can't deal with every concern, but we're going to try and deal with as many as we can.
Great. That's it. Looking forward to Memorial Day. See everybody out there. Great tradition.
Yeah. So if I could get a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Right. It's unanimous. Thank you.
Oh, you guys learned way